What happened in '98? Why did you leave in '90? What happened? Did it just?
Well, at some point, Tom Chiusano fans and realized that I ran out of credits from college and hadn't been going to Hunter for about a good 2.5, 3 years, which is completely illegal, which could have cost him his job. And he brought me in his office frantic. Are you still getting credits? I was like, Tom, I haven't been getting credits for like, I don't know, 3, 4 years. Well, you can't be here. I was like, what? I was like, well, then pay me.
Hello and welcome to Here's the Pitch, sponsored by Masses Restaurants, 5 locations, stlmasses.com in St. Louis. Once again, wearing my Who, Me? Shirt. If you want these shirts, go check out my description in the link. I can make some for you if you have some favorite phrases. You saw me wearing the Hey Now one. I've worn this one a couple times now. Got a Boff shirt. Nine. I can do whatever you want. Tell me a phrase you want and we'll create shirts for you. Always like, comment, and subscribe. And you're going to love today's episode because I've got Steve Grillo with me. Hello, Grillo. Look at you, all grown up.
It's the original douche.
All grown up. You're all grown up. I know you were on the Sirius show.
That's funny you say that because that was actually the last thing that Howard said to me when I saw him. I was at AGT and he was like, look at you, you're all grown up. And I was like, I didn't think about it. And I went, wait, I was like 19 when I started there. So yeah, I'm all grown up.
Well, so Steve Grillo, of course, a mainstay of those early days on the Stern Show with Jackie. And I think there's two camps of people who think there's two different great eras, the Jackie era or the Artie era. You were part of the Jackie era. I don't know if you were there much for the Artie era, but I would assume that. Which one do you find better?
Well, the Jackie era, I lived it. So it was fun to be a part and watch Jackie work because he was just like a super genius. He'd write a joke before Howard even got there. And he'd write it and he'd put it aside and he'd wait. And he'd be like, he. And he knew like Howard was going there. And he already had the joke over the top in Howard. Like he was just a genius to watch work with Howard. How they had this insane chemistry. And it was so the aspect of Artie was more of like a contributor verbally. Jackie wrote jokes. So why it was just saying that he just wasn't a part of the show like Artie was. So you got two different aspects we're talking about. I love both of them so much. So I can't really draw. I can't go from one side to the other.
So let's start from the beginning. How did you get hired? Give us that whole process of like going through the internship and finally being part of the show as an intern.
Right. It's really kind of an interesting story. If I go on a little too long, cut me off. But like, I had a decision when I was in. I went to Catholic school. My parents asked me, if you want to go to Catholic high school, you can. If you don't, you can go to public. And I knew I would never survive. Not survive physically. I would be cutting class, and I knew I needed an education. So I chose Catholic school. I wrestled in high school 4 years. And
all right, you've already gone too long. I'm just kidding.
My father, I wrestled, and my parents never said I didn't go to college. So I wound up my senior year. My father goes, if you want to go to college, I'll pay for it. So I got recruited by Hunter College, which is on Madison Avenue and 68th Street. No, it was on Lexington 68th. And I listened to Howard every day on my headphones. And one day I heard him give out the address. It said 600 Madison. I'm like, that's like down the block. I went, cut class, went to this about 600 Madison, went up to the 4th floor, and now I'm standing in the lobby of K-Rock. And I'm like, and I remember there's the receptionist and there was the door, and there was this really ugly green plant on the other side of the door. And all I could think about was, I have to get past that plant. And after that, I was determined. I'm relentless. When I want something, I'm going to get it. And I sent in a resume. I didn't hear back. Then I hand wrote a really pathetic resume, like a letter to Gary, and ripped it out of my spiral notebook. Had phrase on it. I stuffed it into an envelope. Gary called me back.
Didn't they read that they read that one on the air, I think, too, right? It had grammatical errors left and right, and I think that was part of the charm.
I played the pathetic fucking little, please help me. I need help.
But so was it an internship or was it more of a job?
Yeah, you understand, like, they only gave internships to seniors because you were about to graduate, and they wouldn't give me credits. So I went to the head of the communications department, told him he thought they were this. He dragged me down to the interim office and was like, "You give this kid credit. So what? He's a freshman. And so I was the only freshman in Hunter College history to ever get a credit to do an internship.
That's pretty awesome. I know Hunter College was made fun of a lot too. So what is your like first couple weeks? I know the potato became the big thing. Get Howard's potato. Get it right. And
I didn't get that internship right away, but Gary really liked me. But because I lived in Brooklyn and my commute was so far, he said that I think you're great, but it's been my experience that if you are in Brooklyn, it's hard for you to get here at 5 o'clock and people don't show up. So he went with a girl that was at NYU, but he did give me a project. There was a bunch of show tapes that weren't logged. So I didn't get but I came in and I logged a bunch of old shows, but I didn't have to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning. But I showed up there at 6 o'clock in the morning because I'd be in the back office at a desk and I'd be listening to the show. And I just remember okay, yeah, bring in Gilbert Gottfried now. And I stand up and I watch Gilbert Gottfried walk into the studio. And I was like, I can't believe I'm here. So I made the mistake of going through that box rather quick. But I was there 5 days a week because I was working for the Howard Stern show. When the box ran out, I did such a good job. They brought me over to promotions. And promotions, there was a big dry erase board calendar with all the events. I was like, Grillo. I did everything I could possibly do 5 days a week. And it got noticed. And when Robin didn't like her news intern anymore, they gave it to me.
What was that like?
Well, my first day on the job.
I mean, for real. Like, we hear she's sort of nuts and she's got a witch, right? She's
unbelievably awesome. Robin, loved me. We never got into a fight. We got along instantly. But Gary forgot to tell the girl not to come in on Monday morning. So I was in a room and Ganji was showing me how to do the news for Robin, how to highlight, certain things in the newspapers. And Robin comes in and slams the door and goes, "Why the fuck is she in my office right now?" And they're like, "Gary was supposed to tell her to fucking leave. This is embarrassing." I'm like, hello, first day. But Robin Quivers is one of the most amazing human beings on the planet. I love her to death, and we actually became extremely close friends.
So this is a great story, honestly, because I just know I was in broadcasting for a long time, and we'd hire interns, and the ones that just came in and didn't ask a lot of questions, but just did a lot of work and didn't ask, when should I come in next? It sounds like that's what you did, and it's a pretty good lesson. It still works today. Just go, get in, come in more, get more work, soak it up, and then you can just, they won't fire you, so you can just keep, it's like you're not getting paid, and then someday they might say, hey.
I was so blessed and so lucky to be there. I was like, I'll stay, I'll do it. Don't know I got it, because, and it paid off for me, I guess, because I'm sitting here in my apartment in New York with Aftershock XL in the background. But funny thing you said is we just actually hired an intern yesterday.
Yes, how long?
I have an intern.
That's very nice. And how long did you stay at the show? How long were you there? And were you getting paid? You were getting paid at the end, right?
Just make things better.
Yeah, you look.
You don't need to see my face.
No, it looks better. It looked like there was more of a glow happening, a kind of an odd glow. If you want the glow, it's an orange hue. It's kind of yeah.
Like a pregnant woman, I'm glowing.
How long were you there? I remember you kind of coming on as an intern, and then you just hung out. How long were you actually there?
At some point, Tom Chiusano shit his pants and realized that I ran out of credits from college and hadn't been going to Hunter for about a good 2.5, 3 years, which is completely illegal, which could have cost him his job. And he brought me in his office frantic. "Are you still getting credits?" I was like, "Tom, I haven't been getting credits for 3-4 years." "Well, you can't be here." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Well, then pay me." And he was like, "No, we can't." I was like, "So you're saying I'm fired from not getting paid?" And he was like, "You just can't be here." He had no answer. And I was like, "Okay, so I'm not supposed to be here tomorrow." And he's like, "Yes." So now I walk Howard down. I was like, "Howard, Tom just basically said I'm not supposed to be here tomorrow." And Howard doesn't want anybody else touching his food. He doesn't want them embarrassed. It was just me. So I was like, "Tom said it." So Howard was, "I'll take care of it." So their answer was, for me working 60 hours a week, they paid me 30. Because if they paid me 40, they'd have to offer me health insurance. And they gave me basically minimum wage, which at that time was $6 $635, $640 or something.
Oh my
So
God.
I got paid $30 at $6 an hour. So Howard made that happen. Like, okay, thanks. I didn't care. I was making, so it was actually, I was hustling on the side anyway. I had my hustle. So about a year later, now once they have that corporate leash around your neck, now you got to do this. Now you got to do that. And that started happening. I was like, okay. And it was a year. The year was up. And now I go sit and Tom renegotiate. I was like, look, Tom, I just working 60 hours. Really, why don't you just pay me for 40 so I can get health insurance? That would be kind of cool. And can I get a little more? He's like, no. I was like, I'm not asking you to pay for me for the 60. Just give me 40 so I can actually go to a doctor. He goes, no. You'll work 30. I'll give you the company standard increase, which is 25% on $6.40. What does that come out to? I don't know, but it's not a lot. And he goes, that's that. And then from now on, you have to leave when you can't work after your 30 hours. I'm like, So I again had that conversation with Howard, bringing him down. I told him what I just told you, and this is the moment I decided to leave. Howard goes, that's Tom. And I went, yo, I'm done. So if I stay here and have to eat that bowl of shit every day, I'm going to get fired. I'm going to burn this bridge. I'll never be allowed back. So I said, you know what? I'm going to LA to be an actor, and I'm leaving the show. I might as well bow out like a gentleman and not go out like a punk, because it would have been bad. I was angry enough. I didn't need any more. That would have put me over the edge, so I just bowed out.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite moments is when you get your head shaved, and that's right when you started, I think, right? And you were so quiet.
I was there for a while, but you got to understand something.
This personality that I've seen you come up with, like during the serious days and now in your podcast, which we'll talk about in a second. But the young Grillo is like, don't touch my hair.
Well, here's the deal. You have a wonderful head of hair. Look at that.
Look at it. I know. I haven't cut it since March.
So my biggest phobia ever since I was a kid was to lose my hair. I love women. I think that if you don't have nice hair, women aren't going to like you my whole life. So as a kid, I used to walk around with a brush in my back pocket. I had to have conditioner. I had a blow dryer. I had mousse. I had hairspray. The biggest fear, because I was terrified of losing my hair, like phobic. So when I started losing my hair, I just happened to be working on a radio show where 20 million people listen. And I got made fun of on a daily basis. So my anxiety was already ready to explode. And then I had that happen. And then the salespeople came in and they were like, we got this new sponsor. It's a hair transplant thing. They want you to fucking be, they're going to do everything for free. You'll have a full head of hair. How will make fun of you anymore? And like that was my anxiety-ridden state in answer. So I went to this butcher and had it done. And I was 22. No one 22 should ever go to fucking a hair transplant. But they let it happen. I did it. He still made fun of me. And I knew they're gone now. I had them taken out. I still do have the scars, which I don't care. Because I'm still...
Which Jackie was drawing as it was a map. As it was get to go to the Catskills, make a left, and you'll be in Long Island.
Yeah. So that day, I pretty much didn't go to sleep. I did scores the night before. I was still half in a bag, in a foul mood. And then they came up with the hair in the can spray thing. And I didn't want to do it. And they made me do it. And then it was like me, Scott the engineer. They did it. And I was just like, I was foul.
They raised like 10 grand and then there was a viewing party and it wasn't working.
You understand at some point that I blacked out and there was someone else driving the car? Like, I watched some of that and I go, I don't remember that at all. Because I went into a state of catastrophic, like a coma.
Yeah, well, I mean that's when the E show. It's when the E show started too. So it was like one of the first 2-part episodes, and and you started almost crying. It was such good.
I remember after I watched that hair, I went down to get Howard's lunch, and for Stuttering John to come down and say, I'm getting it, because he did not want that dude touching his food. He goes, you have to go up there right now. And I was like, oh, no. And by that time, it was like at that time, it was already up to like $600. And I was like, nope. And the more I resisted, the more money came in. And then I was broke. So by the time it got to like $4,000, I was just like, click. And they just did whatever they did. And but I remember being at Scores that night because they put it right away. And it was the E! Show was on all over the Scores. And that night, Jake LaMotta was there. And I'll never forget it. He was like, in the house tonight, we have Jake LaMotta, but Steve Grillo is here. And I was like, ah. I was like, I just got like Jake LaMotta, the Raging Bull. They didn't care that Jake LaMotta's here. It was crazy.
How many times did you get to go to Scores on the Howard Stern because of that? I mean, people.
Well, here's the deal: Ronnie Hanover, the publicist, was my friend before this. Like I worked with Ronnie in nightclubs for years. He was a really good friend, and he got the job at Scores and was like, "Steve, I took the job because they giving me carte blanche." And Ronnie was brilliant. He's still brilliant, but he knew he was my friend. He wanted to take care of me, but he also knew he didn't have to ask me to do anything. Eventually, it was going to get to Howard. So I lived on 65th Street. Scores was on 61st Street. And I was a broke ass. So he'd be like, Steve, come down. We're going to have dinner. Like every night. And I'd be like, I didn't want to like overstate my, oh, Lonnie, I'm going to stay home tonight. Because with Steve, I just ordered you a filet mignon. It's going to get cold. You better get your ass down here. And I'm like, okay. So I'd stay there until about like 1, 2 in the morning, take a 2-hour nap, go to work, still be 8.5 in the bag. And Howard would be like, you still drunk? I was like, yeah. He goes, well, where were you? I was like, I was at the best place in the world, bro. These girls are so fucking hot. It's ridiculous. So he would ask me about it all the time. And then I got Gary and John to come. And it was like, we got treated like kings. But I was there like every night. Didn't get it, but I was there every night. I had no game. So stupid. So then eventually they wound up having Fred's bachelor party there, and then there's the history of Scores.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome too. You mentioned that Howard saw you at AGT. Just was that experience? I mean, do you love Howard? Do you think, man?
Listen, I saw him every day for 8 years of my life. He was always kind to everybody off the air, and he was always very good to me. Could he make my life a little better? Sure. But he still gave me the best memories I've had in my entire, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was amazing, you know? And I love telling stories about it. I didn't realize that, you know, you go to 8 years of school to become a doctor. I got 8 years of school in, you know, the best radio school ever.
Well, and I know it's kind of a cliche type question, but any favorite memories that come to mind when you think about working there?
Well, obviously, yeah, the book being dedicated to me.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming. I had weird anxiety issues about. I thought he was going to trash me in the book, but I got some energy. Hold on a second. He wants to say hi. He's really, really like.
What's his name? It's a kitty.
This is Upgrade. He's like, why am I not on camera? I bring him on every once in a while, but it just I didn't see it coming. And when I went in there, and like he goes, I'm going to give the first book to Steve Grillo, and it was like, oh man, this is really happening. Like he's trashed me or did something like horrible. And then so when I went in there, I couldn't breathe. Then he's asking me to read. And all I could do is when I started reading it at the bottom, I saw my name and I'm like, I lost all breath. And then I couldn't, the word debit came up like a debt. It didn't make sense to me being dyslexic. So I couldn't get that word out. And of course it was the best, worst book dedication reading ever.
That's so awesome.
That was one of my favorite moments. But the road trips, working on private parts, it's like that got me into the movie business, man. Like I worked on that crew went on to do The Sopranos, went on to do Boardwalk Empire, and I'm still friends with that whole crew because that's how I got as a stand-in on The Sopranos. That's how they brought me in, helped me start acting and stuff like that. So it's pretty much. You know, there was so many fun memories, you know, but like it was the book dedication has to be the best one.
Yeah, what was the movie? What did you do in the movie, and what was that like? Because
I was a PA, like you know, I'd never done any production work whatsoever. They threw me in the deep end. All the PAs hated me because I was a must hire, and they all had to spend time in an office for 6 months before they even got on set. But here I am. I didn't have to spend any time, and there I was. I'm Howard Stern's guy. I didn't care about it. I was young, so it was like 24. So I worked on the radio show from like 5 o'clock in the morning to like 11, and then we shot from like 12 to, and it was a 10-hour shooting schedule. I did that all summer. But I hated it the first 2 weeks. I was going to quit because they were making my life miserable. And one of my best friends, Beth, she goes, so what do you do on a movie set? And I was like, oh, it's so annoying. You got to wait for the set dressers to come, and then electric comes in, and then the lighting comes in, and then they have to switch everything around, and then this happens, and that happens. And I went, I didn't know anything about that 2 weeks ago. Right. Oh, man, I'm learning. So I just paid attention after that. I shut my mouth. I ate it. And then I started to analyze Betty Thomas's directing skills, where you get the sides of what they're shooting every day. And I started analyzing how she's going to use the cameras to see if I was right. And then I bonded with the crew. So it was just kind of like, you're going to be on a movie set, always become friends with the Teamsters. That's my best advice.
Union's always the best place to be.
Yeah.
So I know
the Teamsters took care of me. So after the Teamsters like me, my life was easy.
Yeah. You returned a bunch later too, even with TRACEY Millman was always kind of up on your case. Tell me a little bit about being on the show after you left, kind of as a caller, and did some other things afterwards in the serious years.
You know what? They had me do like the Stuttering John shit for a while, and I was hitting home runs. I did the MTV Awards. I did a Derek Jeter interview, the Yankee thing. Did a couple of big things, and they don't know what happened. I went out to do the AVN Awards, and I stayed at a friend of mine's house, and he had a girl over. And right before the AVNs were on Saturday, and I couldn't tell this story. I could tell this story now. She used to live in Vegas, and she was staying at the house. And Thursday night, we had a good time. She went to go work at the Rhino on Friday. She never made it. She hooked up with an old drug dealer, and she died on Saturday from time-release morphine. So that all happened right before I was supposed to go on the red carpet. So I was pretty distraught. And I didn't do a good job because I couldn't figure anything out, because the girl that just fed me champagne and raspberries is dead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was having a hard time wrapping my head around that. And it wasn't my friend's fault. It's just she just found an old drug dealer and took a bunch of time-release morphine, didn't understand why she wasn't getting high. And it all kicked in as she was ODing, and it was really disturbing. And so I fucked up there, and I couldn't tell or explain or use that as an excuse. And they basically said, you suck, and you're done. So I had to eat that one.
So you could have had a little more run there, but...
Yeah. No, I did a great job, man. John's the king of that. Don't get me wrong, but I was John's right-hand man, and I also have no fear. So I ran with it.
I know I ask every guest, because I think you had Artie on at one point. Have you talked to Artie Lange? How is Artie?
No.
Everyone wants to know.
I heard a lot of different things. Last time I reached out to his manager, he's like, yeah, he's fine, don't worry. I heard that he's in jail. If he was in jail, isn't that a public thing? He's really a really good human being, and he's been nothing but nice to me. I never worked with him, but he was just such a big super fan listening. Like the first time I met Artie was at Scores. He was leaving. I was coming in. And I was like, oh, I just wanted to say hi, introduce myself. My name's Steve Grillo. I don't know. He goes, Grillo, are you kidding me? I'm a huge fan. He was like, you know how much I know about you? I know you went to Hunter College. I know your dad's a mailman. I was like, really? He goes, yeah. I was like, oh, shit. So every time I've ever seen him or I've ever been around him, he's been nothing but a good friend and kind and generous. So I hope nothing but the best for him. And I think we know if something was bad, so let's just leave it alone and think everything is good. And then it's so good that he just wants to be alone.
It's got to be cool to just be remembered, though, right? I mean, this is a show that you were on 20, 25, 30 years ago. You can go to YouTube and check out the clips, but people still know you. Like I said, Ganji, just names that people shouldn't really know. It's kind of cool to be remembered like that, right?
There's nothing better than when you see a celebrity come up to you and be like, oh, shit, Grillo. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like the coolest feeling. Like, Kevin Smith's always been good to me like that. Mark Hamill, who's like, I'm a Star Wars geek, so like that's like pretty amazing. There's a list of them that are just so good to me that it's a warm feeling. And just even still, like, I don't expect anybody to know who I am, especially now because I'm like older and chubbier and whatever. But once I say, I was working with some dude and didn't realize it was me, and he was like, wait, oh my God, I was like, you didn't tell me. I was like, well, I don't need to tell you. We're doing something else. I don't go around bragging about it. But, but now that I have the network that I'm working on, I'm a little more promotional. But, someone like MC Serch, like one of my favorite of all time hip hop. And then my first show on the network, I had DMC surprise MC Serch. So I'm from Brooklyn, man. The hip hop happened on my lap in my backyard at school. So all these bands came up, and we were all so passionate about them. So for me to surprise MC Serch with DMC, if you go to the Aftershock XL network, you can find that interview. It's just dope. And like watching MC Serch, people go, "Oh shit, what's up, D? Yo, what's up?" It was just like, it was so like, if you told little me that I pulled that off, I'd be like, liar.
That sounds like a great, like in 2021, maybe a tour. Those guys, and I'm trying to. Young MC, is Young MC from Brooklyn?
Yeah. I want Vanilla Ice back. I don't know about you.
I'll take him back.
But MC Hammer, MC Serch, what's up? No, they had a beef. That like they used to, like third base would goof on Hammer and Ice on the albums, and they would tear him up. It was bad. So I should probably try to bury that hatchet. That'd be a good show.
Yeah. Pop goes the wheat. Pop goes the whining of the weasel. I love that, man.
So the open, a long clock spoken, a stepping out the bibonade, a booty line smoking, chicken 40 to my lips, a sips in the guzzle, a 40 dope breakfast of champs, and ain't a puzzle. Grips on my feet, step out my rest. I got MC.
That was pretty good, man. This is.
Yo, I'm sticking in my headphones. That's so good.
Well, I'm gonna let you go over there. I'll be over here. But, hey, I really enjoyed this. This was awesome catching up with you, and keep up the good work on your podcast. And again, I thank you for coming here. Again, check out my shirt shop in the description. Like, comment, subscribe, get me in the algorithm. Let's go. More content coming on this channel. I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.